What does, for the person that's feeling stagnated or the entrepreneurs who's stagnating, what do they need to be reminded of?
You are enough. You have enough. You are more than capable of solving the current puzzle you're dealing with. I think of them as puzzles, but I call them problems. But problems are everywhere. They're just conflicts between ideas, and they are everywhere. They are inevitable. But the beautiful thing about existence is if there's nothing in the laws of physics that prevents that problem from being solved, it is solvable. It is soluble. Soluble is a very intentional word. It has to do with chemistry. Something in a solution just relaxes into a looser state of bonds and connection. So you can just like let the solution fall into place.
What is the mission that you're here for?
I am here to ignite as many human brains as possible, to detonate whimsy in the neural networks and get everyone just like fired up, but also curious and playful. I always come back to Jeff Goldblum because he has
Mm,
this sense of being purely and authentically himself, and he's always in the present moment, but he's so curious and sort of like, he's a jazz pianist too, so he's very improvisational in his interactions, and he's just
yeah.
whimsical, and I just like, he's not my only hero, but he's one of my energetic heroes. Another one would be like Robin Williams and
Mm,
other people that just like bring this dynamism and energy to the table because like to start us off strong, we're all going to die. Like,
yes.
we are here at this short little stint on this beautiful boulder, hurtling through the the galactic supercluster. And we're just here for this brief moment, this window in time. Like, let's have fun. Let's transmute some elements into cool products and services and just have a blast together because there's so much to learn, so much to do, and there's so much to be grateful for. We won the lottery
Yeah.
ticket being alive. So let's get
Oh,
it.
100%. I saw your reel about that this morning. That was great.
I
Or,
appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, it's very lucky to be alive. One thing that when I asked you about patterns of success, you said you noticed that once you started dampening your own self-importance, you actually started to be able to flourish more. And one was curious, when did that happen? And what triggered that?
Well, there are a number of arcs to that, but a
Hmm.
huge one that was a breakthrough moment and was very painful at the time, but it
Hmm.
was this catalyst was in 2016. I had kids young, had kids relatively young when I was 24, and my partner and I, we'd gotten together like 3 months after getting pregnant, so we didn't have the best compatibility. We didn't have time to figure
Hmm.
that out. We did our best, but it just didn't work out. And I was in this soulless, windowless corporate job that was just like soul deadening. I
Hmm.
became so clinically depressed that I became suicidal. And it was this period of time where it was just so dark and so bleak. And I'm
Hmm.
so like in my natural state, I'm so existentially spunky that it took a lot to get me there. But I got there,
Oh,
and
wow.
it just was this breaking point. And Mary, the mother of my kids, who is one of my best friends, we have an amazing co-parenting relationship. We love each other,
Hmm.
and everything is just great vibes all around. But at the time, she was like, get the fuck out. You need to leave the state because
Oh,
your
shit.
vibe is bringing down the household,
Hmm.
and I can't have you being suicidal around our children. So I left to go live with her brother in Austin, Texas for about a year and a half. And I just
Wow.
went deep on my brain, on my body, and I learned like a programmer from the source code up, from the firmware all the way up to the user interface. I
Hmm.
went so deep on finding out who I was what was important to me and why I was creating suffering in my
Hmm.
life and in the world.
What
And
did you realize?
yeah, super deep, like into the mechanics of, I did the whole 9 yards of CBT and stoicism, and I started meditating religiously, and mindfulness, went deep on mindfulness, like uber duber Sam Harris fan. His Waking Up app, which I was an early supporter of, just was a
Nice.
lifesaver.
Hmm.
And I I just discovered that I had this blockage from an early age. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to go into. Like, there's not enough time to go into here, but basically, I was blocking this part of me that had been so wounded as a teenager. I had a skateboarding
Hmm.
accident when I was 15. I severely ruptured my spleen.
Hmm.
And it was, the spleen injury was so bad that the doctors were focused on trying to save my life and my spleen, which they
Hmm.
did, that they uh, completely missed that there was a huge head injury that had also
Oh
happened.
shit.
And so that just completely threw my brain off as a teenager already. My teens were just like, they were amazing in certain ways, but they were also just packed full of trouble,
Hmm.
drugs,
That.
lot lots of trouble in my teen years, and that led and bled into my early 20s. But eventually I was able to
Hmm.
turn things around, had kids, it was great, but then it all kind of came surf bubbling back to the
Hmm.
surface. So all the work that I did to get to college and a relationship and children
Hmm.
was just the first layer. And so I really had to go a lot deeper after dealing
Hmm.
with my depression. And a big part of it was learning to dance. I taught myself to dance in Austin, and that
Tell me
was the
about that.
physical practice that started like, I mean, there's so much to go into about dance, but dance is essentially this ancient part of human culture. And what we're doing over our body, we can call on. And when we do that and we learn to do it to a beat, we signal to
Hmm.
ourselves that we are in control of our body. And it is this energy bringing, life affirming thing to dance. And of course, it just is this amazing aerobic exercise as well. So I just got obsessed with dance, taught myself to dance. I went
Hmm.
dancing every night, lit up the clubs. It was so fun. It was such a fun time because it was
Wow.
like this journey of self exploration, discovery, this whole like
Hmm. Hmm.
subculture of dance, and getting
Yeah.
involved in that and having it be this vehicle through which I was solving the puzzle of my depression.
Interesting.
And
Did you
so
did you know that dance was going to be the right vehicle, or like was this something that you had figured out from
I've been
childhood
planning this since
hobby?
I was 5. No,
I'm thinking like for a person that's in a dark spot, how do they know what activity they need to
totally.
open
It's a
that
great
activity?
question, Oscar. It's a really great question. I had no idea. I
Where did it come from for you?
I can't even remember where. I need to like do some memory excavation here because I can't remember how I stumbled onto dance. I was definitely stumbling in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
and but I bought a $50 mirror from Home Depot, big, 4x8 mirror
Hmm.
or thereabouts, and just leaned it against the wall and slowly, with very slow movements, I handy in digital media, so I took some dance track MP3s and slowed them way down so that I could dance much slower and wire the myelin and muscular memory into my body correctly, and then would progressively speed up the MP3 at different stops,
Very
and
cool.
uh, did it that way. That was my kind of hack I figured out. But so I don't remember exactly how I stumbled across it, but you have to find something that is physical. If you're
Hmm.
in a really dark spot, a lot of cognitive and emotional and mental darkness comes from being stuck in our heads, from
Mm,
rumination, from overly active default mode networks. If you know much about the brain and have done any work with psychedelics, which is a whole nother thread.
no.
But yeah, like it is necessary, it is vital, literally, to get moving with the body. You've
Mm,
got to keep moving, boys. Like it has to be something that is a physical practice that grounds you to your body, to the earth, and to your connection with your brain, essentially. I mean, there's
yeah.
so much else to go into it, but like our brains are literally wired for movement. Like if you think about freedom and liberty and all these things and agency, it's really about, can I move this little squishy arm in the ocean to get some food? Like that's where it all stems from. And can I move
Yeah.
towards the light and away from the darkness? That it's all movement. Our nervous system, everything about our biology is wired for movement. Our digestion
Mm,
is, this like squeezing process. Like it's all movement. So get right with movement and with your body, and that will allow you the space. It'll start to like open up the um the energy, because you need to have energy if you're going to do the work of therapy and
yeah.
changing your diet and all the other things that come with climbing out of a dark space. Got to start with your
Mm,
body, start with a movement practice, and I recommend dance
awesome.
because it
Was
is it's and I'm getting back into it. I got a bone spur. Let me just tell you, Oscar, I
what's
danced
that?
so much that I got a calcium deposit on my foot because I was bouncing so hard off of my toes,
Huh.
um, doing shuffle and
Mm,
like bouncing back and forth. I was in the clubs till 4 a.m. just like dancing it up with people and got a bone spur. So I need to get, and also I completely wrecked my ankle. That's also from skateboarding too.
yeah.
So it's time to get rich so I can go to Panama and get some stem cells and get, some bone surgery in my feet because I don't need to get back in the dance floor. Stat.
Yeah. Yeah. But it seems like you're still keeping your energy very alive. And
Oh yeah.
that's what attracted me to see. I mean, you're wearing a super colorful shirt, you have books in your background, like everything is super alive. I love that. It makes you, I love that. Like it stands out. I don't have my sweater, but I had a sweater with those similar colors as well. Super
Nice.
cool.
It's
Should
all
have
about
been
the
wearing
vibrancy,
it.
the vivid vibe for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now
Yeah.
before when you were texting me, you mentioned that it's not always easy to go all in on being yourself, I think. Maybe that's a good way to put it. Being going all in. When you work with some clients, they have a tough time to do that. Like want to go all in on them creating their personal brand, building that up, and then sometimes they stop themselves. What stops a person from maybe they see some light and they're like, maybe it's getting a bit scary or uncomfortable. Do you have any? Seems like you're very good at like at least going past that point right now, because especially if you came from a dark place and now you're a butterfly, like you said. How
The
did you
beauty of
notice?
Vings.
Yeah. How did you notice, or if it was even conscious, like the breaking that barrier, I'd say, if that
It's a
question is even
it,
clear.
it's fear. Oh, it's
Mm,
crystal clear. It's fear. Let's get into it. Let's have some agua and talk about the fight or flight response because that is what drives so much sabotage
mm,
in people on their journey to become their authentic self. We brains are really clever, very clever and very greedy. They're
mm,
energetically greedy. Our brains do not want us to spend physical or mental energy because that's expensive. All they care about is the selfish gene mission of propagating the pattern.
mhm.
Everything is patterns, as you're talking about, the genetic code, the pattern to the next generation. That's all our brains care about. Our brains are just like, don't do anything too risky.
Yeah.
because we've got a job to do, which is to propagate those nucleotide sequences. And if you fuck it up, then I'm going to be, in deep shit with my boss. And so our brains are like, trying to prevent us from doing anything risky that punctures or stretches our model of the world of what's safe,
Yeah.
familiar. And so when we're pushing ourselves to go outside of our comfort zones, to grow, to become our authentic selves, to step into our light, to our truth, you know, that's scary as hell. That's risky. That's risk territory. And the other factor that sort of reinforces this is we're a social species. So
Mhm.
we're constantly comparing ourselves to every other human out there and saying, where do I fit in the social hierarchy? Where do I fit in this status game of being chosen as worthy of the tribe's energy, the tribe's resources, the tribe's warmth, and therefore the tribe's support to survive another
Oh
day
man.
and pass our
Yeah.
genes on. So it goes super deep. Like this is deep programming, deep, deep survival software that gets activated. It's like, it's like Transformer movies, like all of our cells just start, turning into Optimus Prime, stop the risk. Like, don't do
Yeah.
anything that's going to rock the boat because we
Mm,
might die, literally. Like this cascade of reasoning in our brain is like, we might die.
yeah.
So let me come up with any reasoning or story why this is not a good idea. So you have to override that. You
Mm.
have to just create the space, however you do that, for giving yourself grace. Create the space for grace because it's going to be an
In
imperfect process.
in the moment that you're feeling the fear, we were saying as a continuous reflection process.
Say again?
Like if you were to give someone something implementable, like giving the space for grace, when can a person make sure that they give that space?
Yes, all these airy fairy words. Let's get some tools here because this is
I love it
real. This
though.
happens
Yeah.
every day, and
I
it's
yeah.
big in small ways. So like
Like
everyone,
entrepreneurs are usually more aware of this. Most people I don't think are so aware of this.
I think
I mean,
everyone could benefit from having
100%.
yeah.
Especially like you were talking about mindfulness. Like mindfulness is what helped me be more aware of this as well. So
Oh,
I'm
really?
wondering, like,
Yes.
for a person that's not
Mine. I
so
would say that. I would
mindful,
say that.
hmm,
I would say get the Waking Up app. Like this is the practical tip. This is the practical action you can take today, right now. Go to the App Store, iPhone, Android, download the Waking Up app by Sam Harris and
hmm,
friends, and just do the introductory 30-day meditation course.
hmm,
It's super low stakes, low time commitment, 10 minutes a day. That's it. You can do less if you want, but just enough to build some kind of a practice where you create space, giving yourself the chance to make a change in your life because
hmm,
there's no perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time to make change. It's always right now. And that's one of the things you learn in doing mindfulness work is it's always now. It is always now. Like this is the only moment we have. Oscar and me chilling in Woodinville and Switzerland. And where in Switzerland are you?
the French part near Lausanne,
Love it.
if you know where
Love
that's.
it.
Yeah.
I don't, but I'm going to go there someday and we're going to have coffee because this is the only moment we have. This is all
Hmm,
there is. It's just one, as Churchill said, one damn thing after the next. So, but that's beautiful because then you never have to you don't have to live in the future
hmm,
constantly or be mired in the past. Like you can think about both of those trajectories if you're doing something useful and you want to like reflect on the past or envision a future that's exciting. But anxiety comes from living and getting stuck in the future, and depression comes from living and getting stuck in the past. So,
Mm,
learning to just break those cycles and be here in the present moment will start that journey of being able to create space for grace and step
yeah,
into the discomfort zone where you can make big changes in your life because it's worth it. All of us really have got so much more to offer. And so it's really worth doing the work.
100%. Especially, yeah, when I see some people, I'm like, I was talking to my brother actually, and my brother's like getting super jacked these days and like working out every day. And he was saying some friends are like, I don't want to work out or giving excuses. And my brother was like, that motivates me. And I was like, hell yeah. You tell me it's raining and don't want to go. Let's go.
That's
And you
awesome.
could attune
Yeah,
yourself to like making excuses turn you on and to really go want to do the activity. I thought that was really fun. He was like
that's brilliant.
getting David Goggins on me. I
That's
thought it was very
exactly
funny.
what I was thinking is like you have to turn it into a game. You have to turn it into like,
Hmm.
okay, like if the weather channel gives us a warning that it's, thunder and stay inside, like brilliant, let's go on a run. Like that's the time to go get after it because everyone else is going to do the opposite.
Hmm.
Goggins, I love Goggins so much. I love his phrase of being uncommon amongst uncommon people because it
Hmm.
makes you uh, feel like you always have more farther to go, even if you feel like you've landed in a group
Hmm.
of, elite or uncommon people. Like there's always more room to stretch and grow and push the boundaries further. Goggins is a
Yes.
beast, such a
Yeah.
beast.
Absolute beast. What
Yeah.
one thing that I realized, yeah, especially talking about surrounding ourselves and the group that we hang out with when we were in Bali for the first 6 months of this year. And in Bali, there's people, everybody there is either a digital nomad, online worker, entrepreneur. And I was like, huh, this fits very nicely. Like I feel pretty comfortable compared to like other places where I would have other kinds of friends. Talk to me about the like having the importance of having that community because that's what you're building right now as well. And how does that affected you and what did you want to build this?
Absolutely. I think community is so foundational to
Mm,
being human. I mean, we're social creatures. Like we
mm,
can do all the work of building the muscle to transcend that status game um, programming when it
yeah.
rears its ugly head for the wrong reasons of comparison and shame and all of the negative side effects of being a social species.
Hmm.
But all the positive sides are beautiful and so empowering. And so for the longest time, I was a lone wolf. I was like, I am going to focus on me and I'm going to really like become a programmer of
Mm,
Rowan
mm,
and I'm going to become a programmer. And I literally was like, I'm going to go so deep on who I am and like, so I don't need anybody. And it was what I needed at the time. But I have found that people and other people is where the juice is. That's where we jam and we jazz together.
yeah.
And so is why I have chosen to build this community of people that are focused on expanding their wealth
Hmm.
through the power of mindset because wealth is a mindset. It's an abundance mindset. You look up wealth in the definition of Wikipedia, and Jimmy Wales tells us that wealth is, among other things related to financial instruments. Economists talk about wealth as the abundance of anything of value. And value and abundance is part of what technology and productivity and the human journey to create more with less is all about. Like we have a finite amount of time. So in this finite amount of time, let's create more joy. Let's create more energy. Let's create more diverse experiences and knowledge and tools and toys and movies and trips and relationships. Wealth is it takes so many colors and flavors. And so, including financial
Yeah.
is just a medium. So it's like it's all there. And so wealth is kind of the chocolate that I attract people with because
Oh.
everyone wants wealth. But it really
Ah.
all stems from mindset. The wealth begins from the inside. The wealth is
Mm.
the outside, but the inside is where it all springs from. You could be a billionaire and be miserable if
Yeah.
you don't have the right mindset. And you can be just making 100 grand a year or less and feel wealthy.
Mm.
Of course, I want everyone to be making bank. Like that's my goal in the program is to bring the best teachings of how to make money and wealth in
Hmm.
the shortest amount of time with the most effective. So I'm taking all the material from Dan Martell, all the material from other programs that I'm involved in, Viralish, and at the highest level, and all these things that I've invested in, and using
Yeah.
my intelligent brain to compress, because as Beth Bezos has so eloquently pointed out, intelligence is more or less compression. And
Hmm.
so if I can compress that knowledge, Dan's frameworks, Adley's formulas, all of these things that I've invested in and I'm participating in, and compress them into shorter, more pithy, actionable pieces of media and artifacts that people can deploy and do so with less time and investment upfront of having to bushwhack through
Yeah.
all the stuff that comes with someone who's just putting something out into the world. And it's, sort of the equivalent of an uncompressed file, let's say. Like
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
someone like Dan or Adley is teaching a framework, there's a lot of stuff in there that could be compressed. A lot of delivery
Making sure
material
everybody
that could
gets
be compressed. And so
100%.
that I love that because it's like, what is the essence of what is being communicated? And how can that
Yeah.
be compacted and represented in the most elegant format so that people
Mm.
get more with less time, less energy? And because that's really ultimately like you can have a tool that gets something done, but if it does it super inefficiently and takes forever,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's that is
People
less
don't want it.
wealthy than something that is going to be super like effective and fast.
Mm.
So that's part of the wealth component of wealth
Awesome.
mindset. But it's also just about the people and coming together
Yeah.
and really with a shared vision of bringing out the best in each other.
Mm.
Because why else would we come together? Like
What?
there is so many other things to be doing. And
Yeah.
so like let's
Yeah.
get together, let's have an awesome vibe, and let's bring our full brain and mitochondrial oomph party to the table, because like there's so much to do. There's so many exciting things to do, so much wealth to build. I mean, there's so many opportunities. I mean, the people I'm connecting with in
Yeah.
Elite, that and I'm like some of my clients too, they're like building these amazing businesses that I'm like, I want in. Like, let's partner because for the long term, I want in on that. I want to help you build that vision on the media side, and let's do
Mm.
it because there's amazing opportunity here. And like, and I'm tapping into my network outside of Elite and like bringing people. And so it's like, there's so much fun stuff to do. So let's compress the time it takes to get through the the kind of red tape
Yeah.
of making big change and get to the juice faster. So that's what I'm
100%.
about.
What's your favorite group of people that you surround yourself with these days?
Entrepreneurs, 1,000%. Founders are once was lost, but now am founder together with
Hmm.
all my entrepreneur fellow elite friends and comrades and countrymen, and we all are cut from very similar quilt
Yeah.
cloth, and we just are hungry. We are divinely discontent with the status
Mm,
quo. We
mm,
know things can be better. As Edison said, there's a better way, find it. Like, that sums it up right there. Like,
yeah.
there's a better way, find it, because it's out there in the space of possibilities. It's out there. If you think of everything in the existence as just this soup of a state space vector of possible trajectories of atoms shifting and changing, like
Hmm.
those shifts and changes, like my arms moving this way, that's a series of frames, of still
Oh.
frames that move through time like a movie. And that's a trajectory through state space. Just like the Earth is rotating around the sun, it's not like statically on some
Uh-huh.
model in a fifth grade classroom. It's moving through the Milky Way,
Mm,
orbiting the sun, spiraling as it moves, leaving this trail of light.
mm,
And
mm.
we are doing that too. We're moving through existence, leaving this trail of actions and memories. And
Yeah. W-
like, let's find a better way.
What does, for the person that's feeling stagnated or the entrepreneurs who's stagnating, what do they need to be reminded of?
You are enough. You have enough. You are enough. You are more than capable of solving the current puzzle you're dealing with. And
Mm,
from there, you will build the confidence to tackle the next puzzle.
mm,
I think of them as puzzles, but I call them problems because,
mm.
like, problems are what we talk about when we talk about puzzles. But
Yeah.
like, that's just like a mindset framing thing. But problems are everywhere. They're just conflicts between ideas, and they are everywhere. They are inevitable. Problems
Huh.
are inevitable. And so
Ooh.
wherever you go, you will run into problems. But the beautiful thing about existence is, if there's nothing in the laws of physics that prevents that problem from being solved, it is soluble. Problems are
Hmm.
soluble.
What does that mean?
So, soluble is a very intentional word. It has
Hmm.
to do with chemistry. Something in a solution just relaxes into a looser state, bonds and connections. So you can just, like, let the solution fall into place if you
Mm.
have the right knowledge. If you have the right knowledge to solve a problem, you just tip the starting
Yeah.
domino, and the cascade of actions will algorithmically cause transformations in the physical world to solve the problem. Like, it's just
Mm, 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 mm.
knowledge. You just need the right knowledge, the right sequence of actions to take, do those tasks, and things will happen. It's the same for entrepreneurship. Like, if
Yeah.
you want to grow your business, there are a series of straightforward actions you can take
Mm,
that, if you do them repeatedly, you are guaranteed to see
mm.
results. As long as you stick with the process and you
Yeah.
are adaptable and you are present and you are engaged with the process. Like, these formulas and blueprints for success are not rocket science. They're very well known.
Yeah.
And um, it's just a matter of deploying that knowledge. Oftentimes we get in our own way, though, because
Yeah.
of stuff we talked
That's
about
what
earlier,
happens.
the fear of changing our station in life, and the people that we know, we fear that they might reject us if we change our identity,
Mm,
and so many other limiting belief blockers that prevent us from consistently deploying that knowledge, taking those actions, because we somehow subconsciously sabotage the progress that we would make. So, yeah, problems are inevitable, they are soluble. So just remember that if you're going through a struggle, just remember that if there's if there's nothing in the laws of physics that prevents this current problem you're going through from being solved, it's solvable. So just
Mm,
get up, get back on your horse, and head out into the saloon, or head away from the saloon
I did
into the
puzzles.
sunset. Yes, solving the sunset puzzles. Yeah,
Beautiful. I appreciate that summary. That was very powerful. And I think in terms of, yeah, if I was to summarize what we talked about, like being mindful of the fear is a super important. Surrounding yourself with people who have either done what you want to do or make sure that they support you in solving the problems that you have is super important. And then knowing that there's a way and that you can make it happen is also super important. Download the
absolutely.
Sam Harris app.
Download the Sam Harris app, get started. In that app, there's tons more content beyond just the 30-day course. Like there's an
Yeah.
amazing course called Time Management for Mortals. That's a favorite of mine and many friends of mine. And because it just it gives you such a perspective on this frenetic, neurotic relationship with time that most of us have. And it just like his voice speaking these mouth noises will put
Hmm.
you at ease. I guarantee it. You're going to like the way you feel. I guarantee
Awesome.
it. Like, check that out. Time Management for Mortals. But yeah, surround yourself with amazing people who support you on your journey and just show up. Showing up is half the
That's
work.
very important.
And we
Yeah,
will we will lift you up and keep moving forward together.
100%. Where can people find out more about you and the communities that you're building?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram at rowanowlnorth.com, ROWANOWLNORTH. And that's probably the best place to reach me. And, I'm building this community. I'm building this
Yeah.
wealth mindset coaching community, but I also do video production and creative director work for small, select handful of clients who are very serious about turning pro with their personal brand as a
Mm,
media person and doing what Dan Martell talks about, which is rearranging your life to become a media person and really going all in. And that's what I'm doing with my life as well. And so we're on this journey together. We're figuring out all kinds of creative workflows. We're in Adley's Viralish. We are doing AI backend post-production processes that streamline the content creation process. Like it's really a fun time to be in the content game. And it's just getting started. We've got a lot of behind the scenes work going on right now that is ready to come to fruition. So I'm very excited
awesome.
about that. But I do have a couple spots open for a couple more clients. And if anyone is interested in really turning pro with their personal branding and media, just hit me up.
That's awesome. And as we can see, of course, with the high quality video and sound, like we're pretty serious.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been doing video since I was in high school. I actually
Mm,
didn't have the grades to graduate, but I brokered a deal with my principal that if I made this short film about skateboarding, that I could graduate. So I've been doing,
wow.
deal making and video since high school, and I love it. I'm passionate about it. So let's get it.
That's super cool. Well, thank you so much, Rowan. The
Thank you,
hour.
Oscar. This was really, really fun. And till next time.